Do you feel like during a photo shoot, if something questionable happens or something bad happens, that you fear if you speak out, you won't get pictures or the photographer will taint your name, something like that?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's definitely a big fear, and I think it's a big fear for a lot of girls. It's like a fear for a girl to like come out and say something, because then it's like, what if I don't get booked? Like, this is my livelihood, this is my job, this is what I like to do. And if I say something, I might not get booked. I might lose my job. My agency might drop me. People will say bad things about me, and I think that's a big fear for a lot of models.
You're not the hottest, but you might go far. Your lips are so juicy, I just want to bite your bottom lip. These are some things that photographers have told models. Why would you get a model with knees like that? The only joy I'm getting is seeing your boobs through your dress. I see nipple. I deserve all the nudes for this. When's my first one delivered? What's the difference between him saying that to her during a photo shoot and him saying that to just about anyone on the street? Does it make it okay just because it's in a photo shoot environment? How can you be so triggered off a chat up line? LOL. God help you if you ever go on Tinder. I've been told by multiple photographers, artists, that I need to do more revealing nude lingerie work if I ever want to grow more successful. I just want to ask you guys, if somebody told you any of these, would you be okay with it? Probably not. And models get comments like these all the time on photo shoots. And even before photo shoots, after photo shoots. So recently a model exposed a photographer. She showed their DMs where he basically asked her for nude pictures before he even considered working with her. And when she refused, he said, okay, well, it's going to be $2,000. So you can either pay me $2,000, or if you want the photo shoot for free, then you can just send me a nude picture of yourself. And the model said no, and he replied with something along the lines of, okay, well, get somebody else. I'm going to keep shooting celebrities. Go find somebody else. Unfortunately, this is not an isolated incident. There are many photographers who take advantage of models and abuse their power as a photographer to get people to do things that they're not comfortable with, to get something out of it. Whatever it may be, there is an abuse of power, most definitely. Now, I'm not saying all photographers are like this, but they exist. There are predators who use photography as a guise to target people, to get people to do certain things. They want something in exchange for the photo shoots that's not money. So for those who don't know me, hi, my name is Jessica. I'm a photographer from Detroit. I really want to make this video to educate new photographers and new models, share my experiences with you guys on how I conduct my photo shoots, what is good protocol, what is overstepping boundaries. It's just in the hopes that everyone will have a positive experience on their next photo shoot. So what is the issue here? Why am I making this video? Models are being exploited, harassed, and even sometimes abused by photographers during photo shoots, or even after photo shoots. Also, we want to talk about the abuse of men in the industry as well. This is not just specific to females, and I want to make that very clear. There are male models as well who are abused, and I want to just say that out loud, because a lot of the times we just focus on the females, and it does happen to male models. They are also taken advantage of. They are also exploited. I just want you guys to know that I am referring to the male models as well as female models throughout this video. They deserve the respect and the same level of comfort as the females. So these photographers might entice male or females who are either not even models but very beautiful people. They may be aspiring or freelance models. They may be professional models or agency models with experience. They also target underage models. Those with little to no experience are new in the field. And at times they will go after models who are from broken homes. They don't have a lot of family support. They don't have a lot of friends or family that they're close to. They target those most vulnerable and they exploit those people. So, photographers will either ask for explicit or specific photos before even agreeing to do a photo shoot. And they might ask for something in return other than money. So instead of saying, hey, my photo shoot is $5,000, they might say, well, hey, I usually charge $5,000, but if you send me pictures of whatever, I'll actually do it for you for free. Again, they try to use, their monetary value as a way to entice models, either male or female, and they look for something in exchange other than money. So this can be a certain favor. You guys know where I'm going with this. It could be a date. It could be unnecessary flirting. They could just want to chat you up all the time. It's a guise of a casual photo shoot. Hey, why don't we shoot together? It'll be fun. We'll go somewhere afterwards, like we'll go get dinner. So it's always under the pretense of, hey, this is just a normal everyday photo shoot. And then the most important thing is that they use the promise of a special opportunity. Hey, I can get you into this magazine if you want to pose like a certain way without clothes or whatever. You guys know where that's going. Photographers will use a promise of a special opportunity, such as a magazine cover, an editorial, a certain upcoming job, their networking connections. Hey, I have shot celebrities. I can, connect you with that person. So let's talk about harassment for a moment. A lot of the times for photo shoots, harassment can be verbal, it can be mental. It doesn't always have to be something that you visually see. It could be a side comment, an unwanted compliment, and it happens more often than not on these photo shoots. Verbal harassment can be something like a comment on somebody's appearance that makes that person uncomfortable. I'll give you guys a couple of examples. I actually was watching some other photographers' videos. I wanted to see what types of comments, how they direct and communicate with their models, and I actually wrote down some things that these people said. I'm going to read to you guys a couple of them. One of the photographers kept referring to the models as sweetheart, honey, sweetie, woman, hun. Now, comments like sweetheart, honey, referring to somebody like that is very affectionate and it's very nice in the right context. I don't think that these are appropriate things to call a model or anyone for that matter, in a professional working environment. You might be watching this and thinking, oh, well, sweetheart, you're calling somebody a sweetheart, it's being nice. That's true, but it's just not the right place or the right time to be doing that. This is a working relationship. It's supposed to be professional. I would ask you guys, if you guys were at work, would you call your boss sweetheart, honey, sweetie, woman? I don't think that anybody who respects somebody else would be referring to them as these terms. So, just think what would make the model most comfortable. I would just say, call them by their first name, and that's pretty much it. One photographer also made a comment to their model saying they are sexy as hell, and I don't think that's an appropriate thing to say to a model, male or female. Just keep it professional. If you want to compliment somebody, compliment them on the great job that they're doing and not on their appearance. I think it's fine to give compliments, just be cautious of what you're saying, how you're saying it. Context matters. Again, just keep it constructive. I think that's going to benefit your photo shoot a lot more.
So basically it was my first modeling experience. I was 18. I really wanted to get into modeling, but I didn't have much of a portfolio yet. So someone offered to take portrait shots for me at a studio. It was more of a home studio though, so I actually had my mom drop me off for safety reasons. But I don't know, The guy gave off kind of creepy vibes, but he didn't do anything at first until he had me change into something skimpier and skimpier. And then he would find excuses to help me adjust my bra, help me adjust my swimsuit bottoms, until he was basically just finding every excuse to touch me. And I was pretty traumatized, and that was like the last time I modeled for at least a year. I would say, as a word of advice for photographers, don't compromise the integrity of art, of photography, of modeling, and ruin the trust of models, of whatever age they are, because it can be actually a pretty traumatizing experience for them, and not only for modeling, but also being exposed to other, I don't know, men. So I'd say just keep your hands to yourself, keep it professional. At the end of the day, send them the photos, because this guy didn't send me photos at the end because I think he thought I had turned him down, which I did, obviously. And it was just a really negative experience for me. And it was nothing at all about art, and it was basically just harassment.
Let's talk about the question that some people ask, which is, why don't the models just say no? They don't have to wear this outfit. They don't have to be in this pose. They could just say they don't like it. They could just say they're not comfortable, but they never said anything. So let me go over some things, and these are from experiences that I've heard from models personally. I'm friends with a lot of models. I've heard a lot of their stories. And as a photographer, I'm going to be talking to you guys about why they don't say no in that moment. And so the first one, the biggest one, is they are under pressure. So imagine, you're the star of a photo shoot. There's a whole team there to do your makeup, hair, outfits. Everybody drove long distance to come do this. And basically you are the center of this photo shoot. You're the model. So you want to do a good job. You want to make everybody proud. But there's something that you're uncomfortable doing. For instance, it might be an outfit that the photographer picks out. It might be a certain pose. But you have all of these people around you. Say there's like 5-6 people around you holding lights, everything. And you don't want to be seen as hard to work with. You don't want to be seen as difficult. So you may forego your discomfort to just do a good job. You want to stay professional. You want to be hardworking. You don't want to ruin the photo shoot for all of these people. So it may just be the simple fact that there's pressure for them to do these things because everything depends on them. If you're doing a portrait shoot or an editorial, you guys know it's all about the model. They are the focus of the photo shoot. Another thing, which is a big driving factor, is fear. Some models are scared to speak up. They don't have the courage to say anything, stand up for themselves. Sometimes you're just too scared. There will be consequences for you saying something. Sometimes even the model is there alone with the photographer. So maybe they just don't feel comfortable speaking out. Maybe the photographer is their ride home. You know what I mean? So you never know in that situation. There's also the fear of not getting pictures back. And models have told me this as well, that after the photo shoot, if the photographer asks them to hang out or go get some dinner, they fear that if they don't comply with these things, that they won't get their pictures back. The photographer sometimes will use the photos as leverage. Hey, I'm almost done working on your pictures. Do you want to hang out Saturday? Sometimes they will fear that if they say no, they won't be getting the pictures back. The photographer will be annoyed of them or mad at them. They're going to feel that rejection and be like, well, you're not getting any of your pictures because you don't want to hang out with me. Or instead of getting no pictures, they receive pictures, but they're not good at all and they get like 1 or 2. And models have told me themselves that this does happen, and it has happened to them. The next reason why models might not say no is the fear of retaliation. This is a very serious one. Photographers may use or leak sensitive photos that they've taken of the models, if it's like implied nude or something, or if it's the other thing, then they may blackmail the models, they may leak those photos. So they always fear that they will use those pictures against them. So they just try to smooth things over and comply so that they don't rattle that photographer. Another thing is that they can actually tell their agent. So they can call up the model's agent and be like, hey, I just want to let you know your model was so hard to work with, and so on and so forth. And this can affect jobs for the model. This can get the model in trouble. So those are some reasons as to why the models might not say no in the moment. The biggest one I would say is that the photographer is famous or popular and has a lot of influence. And what I would be referring to is celebrity photographers or photographers who have shot certain celebrities. That photographer might also prevent the model from getting a job. They might go out of their way to talk to these celebrities. Oh, this one model, you shouldn't use her or him for your campaign, and because she was hard to work with. And so this will affect their livelihood because modeling is their job, it's their work. At the end of the day, it's not our place to judge somebody who doesn't say no. We're not in their situation. We don't know the whole story. We don't know how they were feeling in that moment. It's easy to sit comfortably, on your computer in your air-conditioned house and say, oh, she could have just done this. He could have said no. He should have spoke up. But you weren't there. You didn't feel what they were feeling. You don't have the pressure that they had. So it's easy to say it, but it's harder to actually do it. Models may feel pressure to do certain shoots in order to advance their career. They may think that this is my big break. This is the photo shoot that's going to, put me at the forefront of the modeling industry. I'm going to finally get the opportunities that I want. And so they may put their discomfort to the side. They're just looking for ways to advance their career. And sometimes they just feel like, okay, I'll be a little bit uncomfortable, but it's gonna help me in the long run. And I think we can all relate to this. Not all of us are models. I'm not a model. As a photographer, sometimes there's photo shoots that maybe I'm not too crazy about, but I figure, hey, this is gonna help my career, so I guess I'll just do it. We've all been in that situation. It's not just models. So I think this is something that we can all relate to, that underlying pressure to, help our own careers and take that next step. We all want to get more work. We want to be noticed. We want to be known. So I think this is something that we're all connected by. I want to talk about the devaluing of somebody's negative experience because they looked happy in a video or a picture. So they couldn't possibly have had any type of harassment or assault or abuse. One person said, and I think this person's a photographer, who is going to believe this mess? You can literally watch the videos and see them, the models, having the time of their lives, enjoying every moment. Now, I just want to ask this person, do you think an abuser is going to show their true colors while being recorded on camera in front of 5 or 6 people? Probably not. Abusers and people who assault others and take advantage of others want to look good in front of their peers, on camera. They're not going to show their true colors while being recorded. I don't think a criminal is going to be recording their crimes for everyone to see. That's just not how it works. And I want to make a point here, and I wrote this down. Just because a model does not verbalize or speak out during a photo shoot does not mean that they are enjoying it. Just because they don't say, I'm uncomfortable, you're being mean to me, I don't like that comment, just because you're not hearing that from somebody doesn't mean that they're having the time of their life. Body language says it all. People are not actually saying it out loud, but they tell you in other ways. A video or a picture of somebody smiling on a photo shoot or, cracking a joke is not proof that, nothing happened. That doesn't mean anything. I think that is victim blaming. I think that's making an excuse for somebody's behavior. Would you go to court with this kind of theory? Like, would you go to defend yourself? Hey, I couldn't possibly have hurt this person because, here's a video of us hanging out last weekend. We were having the time of our lives. Look at, my friend is smiling. I could never have hurt her. Here's my proof. No. You have to remember, models are there to do a job. They're there to be professional. So they may forego their feelings of discomfort. They may ignore little comments here and there in order to stay professional. And also, Abuse, you think that it has to be recorded? Abuse can happen before or after a video recording. You don't know what happened before that video started being recorded, and you don't know what happened after the video stopped recording. So I would ask you, how do you know what happened after the video ended? We don't. Nobody knows, except the people who were involved in the situation. So we can't assume, we can't discredit somebody just because they look happy in a video or a picture. It's our job as the photographers to make sure the models are comfortable and provide a safe environment for them during the photo shoot. You know, I'm watching so many videos of photographers literally just bossing the models around, telling them like, oh, just stand here, like as if they were just coat hangers or they're less of a human being. You know, I watched a couple of videos where the models were like making like jokes or like saying something, and the photographer was just like not even responding or was kind of just laughing at them, like, why would you even try to speak up? You know, it's just stuff like that. You are no better than the model, and the model is no better than you just because you're the photographer. I think there has to be a mutual level of respect. Models are a part of our team. They are an integral part of the team. They're so important. Without the models, we wouldn't have our pictures.
Here, you were coming in and out.
Can you hear me now?
Ask that one more time?
So let's hear from a couple other photographers. I wanted to talk to my friend. He is a professional photographer. He's worked with some really big names, some really big brands. I thought he would be perfect to share his experiences with us on how he does his photo shoots and some tips for new models and photographers. Let's say we're on the day of the photo shoot, and maybe the model's shirt needs to be adjusted. How would you go about that?
I would probably ask them if they can adjust it themselves or if they would be comfortable with me adjusting it. I feel like it's kind of crossing a line as a photographer to just go up and touch someone. That's something I was taught, but also I feel like it's common sense of if you're going to touch somebody's hair or if you're going to adjust their clothing, like ask beforehand and see if they're good with it. But also it changes based on the sets you're on. Most of the sets I shoot on now, there's also a makeup artist or a stylist, so that person has that role to play on the day of the shoot. There's no reason why a photographer should just walk up and fully unprovoked start adjusting things on the model.
And if a person brings somebody to the photo shoot, like a friend or their mom, would you ever say, no, you're not allowed to do that?
No. No. You can bring anybody. Personally, me, I don't see why that would be a problem. Except on more like higher end shoots for like brand or for beauty companies, but usually those have teams of people in the 20s of people on set, and then they're kind of okay with you bringing people as long as they sign an NDA.
The day of the photo shoot, do you think it's okay for the photographer to suggest doing, lingerie or bikini or implied nude if it was not agreed to before the photo shoot?
Day of, absolutely not. Everything in the world is based on consent. So if you show up at a photo shoot and the photo shoot turns out to be something different than you were apprised of or told about going into it, please leave. It's not that deep. It's a photo shoot. If you're uncomfortable, you should not stay in that space. I feel like that's a terrible trick that I've heard people pull, of models get to the shoot and all of a sudden they try and start making the shoot into something that they hadn't talked about beforehand.
Is it normal for a photographer to have a model sign an NDA before doing a photo shoot?
For a test shoot, I don't see why you would need to sign an NDA. I think usually it's a good idea to sign an image release, which is different than an NDA. An NDA is saying that you cannot speak about anything that you shot, what happened on set, the products that are going to come out of it. A model release is more of just like an agreement saying like, hey, I'm giving this person permission to photograph my likeness, which is not absolutely required, but it's good to have if the photographer ends up wanting to publish the work or print it. But even then, personally, I would want to contact the model before I just start printing pictures of them.
Are there any tips you want to give to new models or new photographers on being professional on set, not overstepping any boundaries?
Make sure you have a clear discussion beforehand of what the photographer expects from you and what you expect from the shoot. If you're working with somebody for the first time, make sure you can bring along a friend. It can be your roommate, it can be a makeup artist. If it's kind of a tough sell to bring a person, try and sell it as bringing a makeup artist for touch-ups. It's do whatever is going to make you feel comfortable on set. In terms of new photographers, you have to come from a place of courteousness, and you have to understand that this is a working relationship. I'm a big proponent of separating business from personal. So while I'm friends with the people I shoot, when I'm on set, it's my job. It's the thing I do for my work. So you need to approach every aspect as a business person. So if you need something adjusted in the frame, ask the model if they can adjust it, or if you have a stylist on set, ask them if they can adjust it. If there's nothing else you can do, ask the model before you touch anything on them. At the start of shoots, I like to give a rundown of what I kind of want to do with the shoot, and I also explain, like, I see photography as a collaborative sort of medium. So if you have any ideas, please tell them to me. If you have any ideas of posing or anything you want to do, I'm open. And you just make the photo shoot into a conversation. And I mean, I've honestly never had a bad experience on a photo shoot.
Now I want to give you guys my personal advice on how to have a professional photo shoot experience. Now, the first thing I want to talk about is an important question you can ask the model that you want to work with, and that is, what kind of photos do you need for your book? So a model book is kind of like a portfolio of the model's best pictures taken by other photographers on test shoots or paid shoots. So they put these images in their book, and then the models take these books to castings, and then the casting director will look at the pictures and determine whether or not they want the model for like a commercial, an editorial, a brand campaign, whatever it may be. Basically, these pictures help the models get jobs and definitely benefit the models. So test shoots and paid shoots are very important to them because they get to add those pictures to their book. Photographers, when setting up a test shoot with a model, whether that's through email or DMs, send them a mood board of the concept that you're aiming to do, outfits that you like, makeup that you like. Send them a link to your website, and then you can send them example images in the email. For test shoots, do not do anything that is not agreed to prior to the photo shoot. So I'm talking about if a model shows up the day of the photo shoot and it's supposed to be a casual photo shoot, you sent them a mood board of like t-shirts, jeans, all that, and then the day of you're asking them to do bikini or lingerie or implied nude. That is not okay. This needs to be discussed and approved and agreed to before the photo shoot. Do not ask a model the day of the photo shoot if you can do something like that. Don't put them on the spot. That's putting pressure on somebody, and that's not okay. So unless it was agreed to prior to the photo shoot day, then do not ask. Forget about it. You want to get somebody's permission and consent before so that they already know mentally and emotionally what they're getting into for that photo shoot, rather than the day of the photo shoot you just kind of like pop this question and surprise them. Do not go over the agreed hours. Models have busy lives. They have castings they have castings unannounced that they have to be there on time for. Like an agent will call them in the middle of the day and be like, hey, you have a casting in an hour, you have to be here. So they have to unexpectedly leave. That definitely happens. And so you have to just respect their time. If you said it's going to be 2 hours for the photo shoot, it's going to be 2 hours. If you want to, go over 30 minutes, ask the model for permission, see if it's okay, see if she has anything else going on in the day, and just get their approval before you just start pushing the time back. So just like us photographers, we wouldn't want a client showing up 3 hours late, and we don't want somebody staying 4 hours later than what was agreed to. We wouldn't want to do the same thing to the models. So just respect their time and be considerate of their time.
My negative experience with a photographer was when I first started modeling around 19, and I did not feel comfortable going to a location alone, especially if it was to a photographer's own home, if that photographer was an older adult male. So this male photographer was in his early 30s, and his work was produced up and shot in his home. So I told him when we had agreed to shoot that I would be bringing a friend. And his tone completely changed. It became confrontational and defensive. And he had said, this isn't going to work. I can't focus and create my best work when I have anyone else in the room but me and the model. It has to be just us two. Otherwise, we will not get good results, and I won't like the work, and I won't edit it. I was relatively new, so I thought, okay, I want to respect his creative space. I understand that. So I will bring my friend and she will just wait in the car. That way there's no disruption of any sort of creativity. He was very angry that I had someone waiting for me. So his true colors showed very quickly. When I walked out in the first outfit, which was a black dress, he immediately said, nope, I don't want to waste my time with that. We're shooting you in a mesh bodysuit without a bra. When I refused, he refused to shoot with me.
So let's talk about when the models change outfits, because I've heard models having a lot of issues with this. Okay, so first and foremost, models need their own space to change, and this needs to be a private space. So you can direct them to a separate room. You can direct them to a bathroom where they can change on their own privately. The photographer does not need to be there when the model is changing. If you're only in one room, you only have one room, like it's a studio or a loft, you can have the model change there and you should just leave. Just think about what would make the model the most comfortable and exit the room. Wait for the model to finish changing, knock on the door, and ask if you can come back in. That's what I do. When a model starts changing, like in my room here, like if my friend will start changing, I'll be like, hey, I'm just gonna leave, let me know when you're finished, and I'll exit and I'll close the door, and I'll just wait for them to finish. So don't wait to be told something. Just think what's going to be the most comfortable. Some photographers will wait till the models are changing. Midway through, they'll start taking pictures of them. As the model is changing her top, they might take pictures of that, and they might be sneaky about it, or they might be obvious, but it definitely has happened. I've been told so many stories. I remember one of my friends in particular was telling me she was changing outside near a bush, and then the photographer was taking pictures of her mid-change as she was changing her shirt, and he got some of her body parts were exposed, and he had those pictures in a gallery, and she asked him to remove it, and he refused. So these pictures, as I stated before, can be used as blackmail. They can be used to exploit the model. Just a way to control a situation, like, hey, I have these pictures of you if you don't want them getting leaked. So that's why it's very important to give the model her own space. You don't need to be around the model when she's changing. You don't need to help the model when she's changing. They're grown. They know. I'm sure they've done this before, and they know how to change into an outfit. It's not that hard. It's not that deep. So just give them that space and respect their privacy. Some models have reported that they were touched and even assaulted while changing into their outfits. I heard a model story where she was changing and the photographer insisted that he help her change out of the outfit. For some reason, he could knows how to change out of a shirt or an outfit. And I don't think I really don't need to go into details, but the photographer does not need to be there when the model is changing. The model is fully capable of changing an outfit on their own, and you don't need to be there. And this leads me to my next point, touching models during photo shoots. So I just want to start off by saying it is never okay to touch a model or anybody without their consent. That includes a photo shoot situation. Just because you're the photographer and you're running things does not give you the justification and the authority to just go start fixing things on somebody, touching somebody's face or hair or hands. And I'm sure a lot of the times you guys don't have any bad intentions. You're just there because you see like a hair out of place and you want to fix it. And that's why I want to tell you guys to always ask for permission before touching a model. Whether that's a stray hair, if you want to do something like this, you got to ask for permission. And I know another photographer made a video basically saying like, oh, touching somebody's hand and shoulder isn't the same as touching like an inner thigh or something like that. Well, I disagree with this because someone's body is someone's body. The difference in body parts doesn't change. There needs to be consent no matter if it's a hand or a leg or your cheek or your lips. It does not matter. There needs to be consent beforehand. And what I would say is if you have a stylist on the team, have them go and adjust things. First, what I would say is to have the model adjust it themselves. Simply ask them. They're very capable of doing these things, you guys. They can adjust it by themselves. They won't have any issues. Just be like, hey, can you just, pat your head down a little, or, move your necklace this way, move your arm out. That's it. And let's say you still need to do some adjusting. Ask for the permission. Hey, is it, and you have to just be detailed. Hey, can I move your hand a little bit to the side? Is it okay if I just fix this hair on your head? It's very simple. There's nothing crazy about it. And it's just being considerate and being respectful. The model will definitely feel more comfortable and feel more respected that way. So I don't see the issue of just asking. It takes like a second and it's not a big deal. So just take that extra step. Another tip for photographers is if a model directs you to their agency, don't take it personally. Sometimes it's required for the models to direct photographers to their agencies because the agency handles all of their bookings, they know their scheduling, and also the models can actually get in trouble if they do a photo shoot without their agency's permission or approval. So it's nothing personal. It's not like they're saying, hey, I don't want to work with you. It's just you have to go through somebody else. It's professional and it's very common and it's very normal. If a model doesn't reply to you or refuses a photo shoot, it's not your business to know why. They just don't want to shoot with you, period. Just move on. There are a lot of other models out there. Don't take it personally. Models are not obligated to message you back and say, hey, I don't want to shoot. If you get ignored or someone doesn't message you back, just move on. You don't have to sit and investigate, and that's it. Guilt tripping is not okay either. Using the fact that you bought something for the photo shoot or that you traveled all this way is not justification to pressure somebody into doing something that they're not comfortable with. It doesn't make it okay. Yes, you guys, I'm in a closet. We have a model who's able to talk to us a little bit about her experiences and some tips she has for aspiring models and for photographers. So I'm going to go ahead and call her. So the first question, have you ever had a bad experience with a photographer? And if so, can you kind of just talk us through what happened? If you don't mind sharing?
Yeah, definitely. I have had multiple negative experiences with photographers. One in particular was I shot with a photographer and his friend was also shooting me as well, so there were two photographers. And this actually happened kind of after the photo shoot, but he texted me later and was like, what are you doing? Like, me and the other photographer want to hang out. And I was like, yeah, one of my friends downtown. We're just hanging out, like, listening to music, nothing crazy. And he was like, should I bring tequila? Should I bring alcohol? And I was like, no, like, we're not drinking or anything. No alcohol, you don't need to bring any. And he proceeded to come over and did not bring the friend. And he brought, like, a crinkled water bottle of tequila and was, like, clearly already f***ed up. And we were all just like sitting on the couch hanging out, literally watching music videos. And kind of out of nowhere, he like stuck his hand in my shirt. And I was like, okay, what are you doing? And he was like, oh, sorry, and like pulled his hand out. Then, you know, another 10 minutes passes by. He proceeds to it again. And this time I'm like, okay, what do I do now? So like my friend was sitting across the room from me, and I was mouthing to her, like, help me. And she was like, hey, I think it's time for you to leave. You should really get going. And he was like, oh, why do I have to leave? The party just started. And I was like, we were both just like, no, you gotta go. Like, this isn't cool. Like, you have to leave. So we tried to get him to leave. I went into my friend's room, and she came behind me, and he came in to the room after we closed the door, and was like, where am I going to sleep, next to you? And like pointed at me, and I was like, you need to leave. And he was like, but I don't want to leave. And then proceeded to flick my nipple, which was just beyond me. I was like, but your nipples are so cute. And I was like, okay, it's time to go. And then my friend started yelling at him. She locked her door and like kicked him out, like locked her door. And he was in the living room. And it was just me and her in her room. And then he proceeded to fall asleep on her couch. And then asked me for a ride home the next day. I want to say like a year and a half, 2 years later, or maybe just a year, he reached out to one of my friends who's also a model and asked if we could shoot together. So I was like, all right, I'm just going to give him the benefit of the doubt. He said he was drunk. I'm just going to do it with her. And like, there's two of us, so we should be safe in numbers or whatever. So, we did the shoot, whatever. While we were on the shoot, my girlfriend was grabbing something from my car, and was like bent over, like wrestling her purse, because her purse was on the ground in my car, and he came up behind her and slapped her ass. And I was like, she just looked at me, and I was like, I just didn't even know what to say or do. So we left, and that was kind of that, and I haven't spoken to him ever since. He continues to hit me up and slide in my DMs and be like, let's shoot, and I literally never reply.
Do you feel like during a photo shoot, if something questionable happens or something bad happens, that you fear if you speak out, you won't get pictures, or the photographer will taint your name, something like that?
Yeah, definitely. I think that's definitely a big fear, and I think it's a big fear for a lot of girls is, you know, shooting with someone that does something bad to you or says something or makes you uncomfortable in any way, and then you say something about it. And with people like Marcus Hyde, it's like, you know, he clearly has some sort of influence on people if he's shooting with those big names, that it's like a fear for a girl to like come out and say something, because then it's like, what if I don't get booked? Like, this is my livelihood, this is my job, this is what I like to do. And if I say something, I might not get booked, I might lose my job, my agency might drop me, people will say bad things about me, and I think that's a big fear for a lot of models. I also think that if something feels uncomfortable from the beginning, trust your instincts, trust your gut. If you're DMing with someone and you're getting kind of a bad vibe to begin with, and you haven't even met them or shot with them, absolutely do not go forward with it. And the easy way out is like, hey, like, my agent, you know, doesn't really need that much for my portfolio. If you're feeling uncomfortable, I'm not saying do that for everything, because that's not the most professional thing, but if you're feeling uncomfortable and you're feeling like the photographer might not be who they say they are or interested in what they say they're interested in, it's totally okay to be like, you know what, no, I can't, I don't want to do that, I can't do that. And if they continue to harass you, block them. But yeah, I have told my agents about any photographers that I have had bad experience with or felt uncomfortable with. With the photographer who was DMing me and was, you know, just being snarky, I got a lot of replies from other girls about bad experiences with him. I think it's unfortunate to see that some agencies don't take girls seriously when they report these things, because I know I saw a lot of people saying, you know, I told my agent about Marcus Hyde, but they continue to have their girls work with him. I think that's really irresponsible on the agent's part. I think that an agent is supposed to, you know, nurture you and take care of you and make you feel comfortable in the things that you're doing so that your career can grow. And if they're not listening to you, that's not good. And especially, like, that's putting other girls in danger of having the same things happen to them. So I do think that there's a big responsibility on agents to listen to their girls and listen to the experiences that have happened to them and listen to their concerns.
Now let's move on to my tips for new models, aspiring, or current models. Okay, so my first tip is if your agent sets you up with a photographer that's questionable, you didn't have a good experience with before, or you just don't want to shoot with, communicate that to your agent. A good agent will always listen. And if you have had a bad experience with a photographer, you've already shot with them and they did something bad, then definitely tell your agent. Tell somebody. You can make a police report, you can tell your friend, whatever it may be. I would encourage you to say something. By enough girls speaking out about the same photographer, it can prevent the agencies from sending more girls there. If you're an underage model, please do not go to any photo shoots by yourself for any reason, for any photographer. Please bring a parent, bring a friend, an adult, just anyone over 18. Please bring them with you. Even if you haven't heard anything bad about them, just bring them with you. That's all I would recommend to the underage models, especially. People take advantage of the younger models, people with not a lot of experience, so you really want to be careful. And if someone does not allow you to bring somebody else to make you feel more comfortable, just say no. Models, you guys should ask who's going to be there. I've heard from some people that they're expecting like a whole team to be there the day of the photo shoot, and then they show up and it's just them and the photographer. So as I said before, bringing somebody with you is a good idea. Asking the photographer who's going to be there. Makeup, hair, styling, just so you can get an idea. If there's clothing that you're not comfortable with, just express it to the photographer. You don't have to wear anything that you're not comfortable in. We can't force you as a photographer to wear something that you don't want to wear. If it's too revealing, too short, too loose, whatever it may be, just tell us. A real professional will not mind. We also have backups. We have extra clothing. Like, it's not going to matter to me if someone wants to change outfits because they're not comfortable. I'd rather the model be comfortable in what they're wearing. If a photographer presents you with an NDA, I would definitely introduce legal counsel. Get a lawyer to look over it. Do not sign anything without having a second opinion or a second pair of eyes looking at it. You have to make sure what you're signing, how long are the terms, what are you keeping confidential, what can you talk about, so on and so forth. So always have somebody else look over it before you sign anything. Never feel pressured to sign an NDA. If someone requires you to sign something like a contract and you're not really into it, just say sorry, I don't feel comfortable signing anything, and move on to the next. Just remember that you can say no. You can say no to the pose that we tell you to do. You can say no to the clothes we want you to wear. You can say no to a certain concept that maybe you're not crazy about. So just remember, you also have that power. And I would encourage you to say no if you're not comfortable doing something. Another thing is, do not share rooms with the photographer. If you're traveling for a brand, you're doing a campaign or an editorial, you are not obligated to stay with the photographer. You are entitled to your own space. You don't owe the photographer your time, your energy, anything just because you've done a photo shoot with them or you're going to do a photo shoot with them. If you've already agreed with the photographer, you're friends with them, you're fine with it, you want to share a room, totally fine, do your thing. But if you're not comfortable with it and you just show up the day of and they're like, hey, we're going to stay in the same room, that's not okay, and you deserve to have your own space. Also, another thing I want to mention is that just because somebody shoots with celebrities does not mean that they're a good photographer or they're a good person. Sometimes they just know somebody who knows someone, and that's the reason why they get to work with all these people. And a lot of the time it's like they have people setting up all of their lights and they're just there to like press a button and then they send it off to retouching, and that's, you know what I mean? So don't be blinded by seeing a celebrity on somebody's Instagram. It doesn't mean anything. They could be using that as a way to lure people in. You never know. They could be saying, hey, I worked with this person, that's why you should trust me. So just because someone shoots with a celebrity doesn't make them like more worthy of your time or to do a photo shoot with. You know what I mean? There are so many amazing artists out there that don't work with celebrities at all, that are some of the nicest, most kind-hearted people out there, and they're amazing photographers. Some closing points I just want to say. There's definitely an abuse of power with some photographers. Not all photographers. there's a select few that are dragging our careers through the mud, that are making us look bad. There's so much pressure on models to know these people and have a certain lifestyle, be super skinny and have these types of clothes and have these types of friends. And there's also a bigger pressure to advance their career. We don't know the full situation. We don't know what people have to go through to advance their careers, but I can tell you guys, it's not easy. It's not an easy thing at all. So there's always that pressure that's there, and you don't want to add to it by being a jerk on a photo shoot, you know? There are mean photographers out there, people who say rude remarks to the model, who make rude gestures, and instead of making comments like that, like if you're not having the best photo shoot or the model's not posing that well, just, I would say, give positive reinforcement. You're not gonna have a better shoot by degrading somebody. I don't think that's ever worked. Being mean to somebody and then, oh, like now, then they did a better job. So just give that positive reinforcement. Be nice, be supportive of the model and the entire creative team. And I guarantee you your photo shoot will turn out a lot better. I appreciate my models so much. Again, a lot of my best friends are models. I met them during photo shoots. Photo shoots are supposed to be fun. They're supposed to be like a team collaboration. Models are just as much a part of the team as the hairstylist and the makeup artist. They are an integral part of the team. So I would just go into it like you're working with your friends. You know, you want to make sure your friends are comfortable, and you would definitely be respecting your friends. So I don't see why we should be treating the models any different. They come from all around the world, different backgrounds. A lot of them travel from different countries to model, and they have so many cool stories to share. If you just sit down with them, just give them a chance and talk to them. So I'm gonna be ending this video, and to all the models out there who have experienced any type of assault, abuse, harassment, I really just want to apologize and say I'm sorry that you guys had to go through that. That's so terrible, and no one should have to go through that. Like, I can't imagine trying to do a job professionally and be professional and then just being assaulted for no reason. And what's worse is that the perpetrator, the one who committed the assault, is still free to go and assault more people and continue working and becoming successful, and I don't think that's fair, which is why I wanted to shed some light on this. If literally one person watches this and benefits from one of my tips, then that's all I can ask for. I'm not a professional filmmaker. Like, I'm not good at fancy editing or like fancy lighting or any of that. I'm just a photographer with my camera and this small tripod, and I thought I would do something and say something to try to make a small difference and use my platform for something good. Thank you to everybody who reached out to me to give me information, to share your stories with me. Some of the stories were so hard to read, but thank you for sharing them. That's also a very hard step to take, is putting that out in the open. Some people don't believe you. Just know that I do, and take that extra step to protect yourself because you deserve it. So I would love to thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys later.